You ever notice how people talk about life like it's supposed to make sense? Life is a journey, they say, yeah? More like a road trip with no map, the GPS screaming, recalculating, and someone in the back seat throwing snacks at your head. It's chaos with good lighting, a beautiful disaster. We like to dress it up with quotes, stick it on mugs, live, laugh, love, but underneath it all, life is one big, hilarious mess pretending to be organized. Think about how it starts. You're born crying, covered in goo, and everyone around you is clapping like it's the best thing they've ever seen. That's life's first joke. You literally show up screaming, and they say, "Aw, how cute." From day one, we're trained to confuse panic with celebration. Then you spend your childhood trying to figure out what's happening. And just when you start to understand, people tell you to grow up. Grow up into what? Exactly. The same people who spend half their adult lives looking for their car keys? That's not growth, that's evolution in reverse. The truth is, life's not supposed to be tidy. It's supposed to be messy. If it wasn't, we'd have nothing to talk about, nothing to laugh about, and nothing to learn from. Every great story starts with something going wrong. Nobody wants to hear, "Everything went perfectly today." It's not a story, that's a malfunction in the entertainment system. Life is like a sitcom where the writers forgot the script but kept the laugh track running. We've built an entire world on the illusion of control. People schedule their days down to the minute, wake up, meditate, drink green juice, check emails, hit the gym, manifest success, go to therapy, cry in the shower, post a motivational quote, sleep, repeat. We call that balance. No, that's juggling flaming swords while standing on one leg on a skateboard. The funniest part, we act surprised when it doesn't go smoothly. We go, "Why is life so stressful?" Because you made it a PowerPoint presentation. That's why. And don't get me started on expectations. They're the biggest prank life ever pulled. You're told to dream big. Shoot for the stars, but don't aim too high, or you'll look arrogant. Be confident, but humble. Work hard, but don't burn out. Be successful, but don't forget to enjoy the little things. It's like someone handed you a Rubik's Cube with missing stickers and said, "Solve it, or you're a failure." No wonder half the population's anxious. We've turned life into an exam nobody signed up for, and the test changes every 5 minutes. But here's the twist. That's the funny part. The whole joke is that nobody knows what they're doing. Everyone's improvising, and some people are just better at hiding it. The boss at work doesn't know. Your parents definitely don't know. The guy giving life advice on a podcast, he's recording it in his mom's basement surrounded by empty energy drink cans. We're all winging it, pretending there's a plan, when really, we're just hoping the parachute opens before we hit the ground. There's a certain freedom in realizing that. Once you stop expecting the world to make sense, it starts getting funny, like really funny. You drop your phone in the toilet, you can cry or you can laugh, because either way, that phone's gone. You get fired for not being a good fit? Maybe that's just the universe saying, "Hey, we're upgrading your misery package." It's all perspective. The mess doesn't go away, but the laugh keeps it from swallowing you whole. People always talk about finding meaning, like life owes us a reason. What's my purpose, they ask. Maybe your purpose is just to not take it so seriously. Maybe the point isn't to fix the mess, but to dance in it. Because every time you think you've got it figured out, life changes the rules. You pay off your debt, boom, your car breaks down. You finally get promoted, suddenly your boss quits, and now you're doing 2 jobs for the same pay. You meet the love of your life, then realize they don't believe in using deodorant. It's endless, and it's hilarious if you let it be. We love pretending we've got control, but the truth is, life's been freelancing since the beginning. You plan your wedding, and it rains. You plan a beach vacation, and there's a hurricane. You buy a white shirt, and spaghetti sauce declares war. The universe doesn't follow your calendar. It's more like an improv show with bad lighting. You can either fight it or grab a seat and enjoy the performance. You know what's crazy? The mess is what makes people interesting. Nobody wants to hang out with someone whose life is perfect. Imagine talking to that person. "Oh, you never have problems? You wake up refreshed every day? You have no regrets? Great, let me just walk into traffic." The best. People are the ones who've been through nonsense, who failed, cried, laughed, fallen apart, and somehow still show up smiling. They're the ones who make you feel less alone in your own circus. And here's the kicker. Most of the mess comes from trying too hard to avoid the mess. We build all these safety nets, insurance, warranties, 5-year plans, then we panic when they don't work. We keep asking, why me? as if there's a cosmic spreadsheet somewhere with your name on it and a note that says, let's ruin this guy's Tuesday. No, life's chaos isn't personal, it's just equal opportunity absurdity. Even our emotions are part of the joke. We try to label everything happy, sad, anxious, motivated, like we're sorting laundry, but feelings don't follow the rules. You could be laughing at a meme and crying 2 minutes later because your toast burned. Humans are emotional spaghetti, tangled, messy, and occasionally delicious. And the worst advice anyone can give you is stay positive. No, stay honest. Some days are great, some days suck, and most are just a confusing mix of both. The trick isn't pretending to be happy, it's finding humor in the absurdity of it all. We spend so much time chasing this idea of a perfect life that we forget how to live the real one. Everyone's in a race. Get rich, get fit, get married, get noticed. But nobody tells you what happens after you get all that. You just start a new race. Life isn't a finish line, it's a loop. You go from thinking you'll have it all figured out at 25 to realizing you know nothing at 40 to laughing at how stupid you were at 25 when you're 60. The whole thing's a comedy marathon, and the only way to survive it is to stop pretending it's a serious competition. There's something beautiful about the imperfections, though. You spill coffee on your shirt before a big meeting, and suddenly you've got a story. You miss your flight, and you end up having the best conversation with a stranger. You take a wrong turn, and you find the best food of your life in some sketchy side street. That's the magic hidden in the mess. It's not clean, it's not planned, but it's real. And that's what makes it funny and worth living. Because deep down, we all know life doesn't get easier, we just get better at laughing at the hard parts. The pain doesn't vanish, but humor turns it into something we can carry. That's why comedians, philosophers, or anyone who really thinks about life, they all end up laughing. Because when you zoom out, the human race looks like a bunch of ants building castles out of sugar cubes, bragging about who's got the biggest cube while the rain clouds are rolling in. You can cry about it, or you can say, well, that's about right, and start building again. So yeah, life's a mess, a beautiful, ridiculous, confusing mess. But that's the secret. It's not meant to be fixed. It's meant to be experienced, survived, and occasionally mocked. Because when you laugh at it, you take its power away, you stop being the victim of chaos, and become part of the show. And if you're lucky, you get to enjoy the punchline before the curtain falls. That's when you realize the mess was the masterpiece all along. You ever notice how humans can take the simplest thing in the world and make it feel like a NASA project? We've turned basic living into a full-time group assignment that nobody studied for. We're the only species that can invent something to make life easier and somehow make it 10 times harder. You give a person a remote control, and within a week, they're arguing with their TV like it owes them money. We have technology that can recognize faces, predict the weather, even drive cars, and yet, we still can't figure out how to reply to an email without rereading it 12 times to make sure it doesn't sound too aggressive. That's us, the first champions of overcomplicating simplicity. We'll stand in front of an automatic door that doesn't open and just wave at it like we're performing some ancient ritual, too proud to take one step back and try again. You ever see someone try to use a self-checkout machine? It's like watching a caveman discover fire. They're just standing there, confused, talking to the screen. I did place it in the bagging area. No one's stealing, no one's calm, and that robotic voice keeps repeating, unexpected item detected. Yeah, the unexpected item is my patience leaving my body. We've reached a point where we can summon food, friends, or a taxi with our thumbs. But the second the Wi-Fi cuts out, civilization collapses. One bar of signal disappears, and suddenly grown adults are pacing around like lost hikers. Try moving to the window, maybe the air is better over there. It's tragic and hilarious at the same time. We built all this stuff to make us smarter, but we're getting dumber in high definition. And we're proud of it. We brag about how busy we are, as if confusion is a personality trait. I've got so much going on right now. Really? You're just stuck in a never-ending loop of checking your phone, refreshing your inbox, and convincing yourself you're accomplishing something. We've convinced ourselves that productivity is happiness, which is why everyone's exhausted and pretending to meditate while secretly scrolling through notifications. Life used to be simple. You woke up, ate something, worked a bit, talked to real humans, and went to bed. Now, There's an app for breathing, a video for sleeping, and an influencer trying to sell you a morning routine that takes 3 hours and a blender. We've industrialized being alive. You can't even drink water anymore without checking if it's filtered, mineralized, ionized, or blessed by mountain monks. Somewhere along the line, we decided that simple wasn't good enough. It had to be optimized. We overcomplicate emotions too. You can't just be sad anymore. You have to diagnose it, analyze it, and post about it. Every feeling becomes a research project. We've turned having a bad day into reevaluating my entire life journey. And happiness? Oh, that's a whole algorithm. You need the right playlist, the right lighting, the right latte art. If the phone doesn't look like a heart, the day's ruined. And relationships, don't even get me started. You can't just meet someone and like them now. No, you have to decode texts like they're secret messages from the CIA. He used 2 emojis instead of 1. Does that mean he's serious or just polite? We have entire conversations in our heads trying to interpret the digital equivalent of cave drawings. She said, haha, is that a real laugh or a fake one? We've made love and connection, the most natural things in the world, into psychological warfare conducted through screens. Even relaxation isn't relaxing anymore. You can't just sit down and do nothing. People make you feel guilty for not being productive. You tell someone, I took the day off, and they look at you like you confessed to a crime. Oh, must be nice. Yeah, it is nice. That's why I did it. But we're addicted to struggle. We treat peace like a malfunction. If we're not stressed, we think we're doing something wrong. We crave chaos because calm feels suspicious. And yet, we complain about stress like it's a new phenomenon. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed. Really? Overwhelmed by what? A notification that your groceries have been delivered? People used to run from wild animals. We panic over low battery. Imagine explaining that to your ancestors. Yeah, life's really tough now. I was in the middle of ordering sushi and my phone died. They'd slap you with a rock. The irony is, the more advanced we get, the more fragile we become. You ever notice how people now have emotional breakdowns because someone didn't like their post? We used to get rejected in person, in public, in front of witnesses. Now, 1 digital thumbs down, and we're journaling about self-worth. We built a society where approval is currency and the bank is run by strangers who barely exist. We do this with everything. Eating, sleeping, working, nothing can just be anymore. You can't just have a sandwich. It has to be artisanal, locally sourced, and posted online before the first bite. You can't take a nap. You have to call it a mindful rest reset. We've turned daily survival into marketing. Even pets aren't safe. Dogs used to eat leftovers. Now they get organic meals served in porcelain bowls. Somewhere, there's a dog eating better than half the population, wearing a sweater, and wondering why his owner cries during yoga. But the funniest part? We think we're evolved. We walk around with our smart devices, pretending we're living in the future, while still tripping over the same emotional wires people did centuries ago. We've got GPS for roads, but no idea where our lives are going. We can connect to anyone, anywhere, anytime, and still feel completely alone. We've automated convenience, but outsourced common sense. And this obsession with making everything complicated comes from fear of facing how simple life actually is. If things are simple, then we have no excuses. If happiness is just sitting outside, breathing, and being grateful, then what's all this noise for? We keep adding layers because deep down, we're scared of stillness. Stillness makes us see ourselves. And that's a terrifying mirror for most people. That's why we create problems out of thin air. We can't stand peace for too long. The minute everything's fine, we go, something's wrong. We need drama, confusion, activity. We're addicted to feeling important, even if it means sabotaging our own calm. That's the ultimate human contradiction. We want simplicity, but worship complexity. You can see it everywhere. A family dinner should be a nice, easy moment. But no, someone brings up politics, someone else checks their phone, and the dog starts barking. You could have just eaten lasagna and enjoyed the moment, but we turn it into a sociology experiment. We don't know how to just be. We have to dissect everything, like scientists studying a frog that's already dead. It's not that life is complicated, it's that we complicate it to feel in control. We think the more we analyze, plan, and label, the safer we'll be. But it just traps us in our own overthinking. You ever notice the happiest people are the ones who just roll with it? The ones who don't have a 5-step morning ritual or a 10-year plan? They just wake up, deal with the day, and somehow they're fine. Meanwhile, the rest of us are on our 4th motivational podcast. Before breakfast, wondering why we still feel empty. And that's the punchline. We keep trying to design life like it's an app. We can update, fix a few bugs, improve the interface, make it run smoother. But life doesn't need an update, it just needs a reboot. It's not supposed to be complicated. You eat, love, laugh, screw up, try again. That's the whole program. Everything else is just lag. The truth is, we're all just improvising, building systems to make us feel like we've got it under control. But control is the biggest illusion of them all. You can plan your schedule, color code your calendar, even alphabetize your goals, but the universe still throws curveballs like it's playing baseball with your sanity. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the whole point is to stop trying to make everything make sense. Because when you stop overcomplicating things, life suddenly starts working again. You don't need to fix the mess, you just need to stop adding extra ingredients to it. Simplicity isn't boring, it's peace disguised as common sense. And maybe, just maybe, the smartest thing we'll ever do as a species is to finally admit that we've been making everything too hard when all we ever needed to do was laugh, breathe, and get out of our own way. You ever notice how everyone's pretending to have their life together? It's like a global costume party where the theme is normal human being, and everyone showed up overdressed and underprepared. Everywhere you look, people are smiling, posing, acting calm, while inside, they're one bad email away from a breakdown. We've turned pretending into a lifestyle. You wake up, put on your clothes, your deodorant, your fake confidence, and head out to perform in this never-ending sitcom called I'm Fine, Thanks for Asking. And we've gotten really good at it. You can't even tell anymore who's genuinely doing okay and who's barely holding on with duct tape and caffeine. Everyone's got that same polite smile, you know? The one that says, I love life, but the eyes are screaming, please help me. I'm running on expired motivation. We're all trained actors in the daily theater of sanity. You go to work, you nod in meetings, you say things like no problem when every part of your soul is whispering yes. It's a massive problem. It's funny how much effort goes into pretending we're not falling apart. We edit our emotions like we're managing a social media feed. Crop out the bad days, apply filters to the anxiety, and post only the highlights. Had a great weekend, sure you did. Care in the caption forgot to mention the existential crisis in the car ride home. Social media is basically a museum of fake stability. Everyone's got a smile, a quote about gratitude, and a nervous breakdown on standby. And that's the thing, we're not just pretending for others, we're pretending for ourselves. We convince ourselves that we're okay because we're terrified to admit that maybe we're not. We've been told that being confused or lost is some kind of failure, like everyone else got a manual and we missed the delivery, so we fake it. We pretend to know what we're doing. And the wild part, everyone else is faking it too. It's an entire planet full of people bluffing their way through existence, nodding like they've got the answers, when the truth is, we're all just trying to keep the Wi-Fi connected and the bills paid. You ever notice how weirdly specific our pretending gets? Like, we pretend to love our jobs. That's a big one. Half the world wakes up, groans, gets dressed, drives through traffic, and then spends 8 hours pretending that spreadsheets and sales reports make them feel fulfilled. We say things like, I'm passionate about corporate growth, when deep down, we'd rather be passionate about not talking to anyone before noon. The whole workplace dynamic is built on mutual lying. The boss pretends to care, the employees pretend to be motivated, and everyone pretends that this endless cycle is teamwork. And then there's social life. You can't just say, I don't feel like going out tonight. You have to come up with some elaborate excuse. Sorry, I can't. I have an early meeting tomorrow. No, you don't. You just don't want to wear pants and listen to other people's problems. But honesty makes people uncomfortable. You say, I just need some time to not deal with humans, and suddenly you're a weirdo. So we smile, we go, we nod, we drink, and we fake interest in conversations about houseplants and crypto. Even relationships run on pretending. The early stages are all about illusion, pretending you're chill, pretending you don't care that they took 4 hours to text back, pretending you like their music taste. You go out of your way to seem normal, when in reality, you're one minor inconvenience away from crying in a grocery store. And then, years later, when the pretending wears off, people say, you've changed. No, I didn't change. I just stopped auditioning for the role of your ideal partner. The funniest part is, everyone's doing it at the same time. You're sitting in a cafe, trying to look relaxed, sipping your overpriced coffee, scrolling through your phone, pretending to be busy, and across from you, someone else is doing the exact same thing, pretending to be deep in thought while trying not to look lonely. It's like an unspoken agreement. You pretend you're okay, I'll pretend I don't notice you're not. That's the modern social contract. We even pretend about small things like how we feel in public. You ever trip in front of people? The instant recovery mode kicks in. Oh yeah, totally meant to do that. You could dislocate your spine, but you'll still pop up like, haha, I'm fine. We can't even fall correctly without performing, because God forbid anyone sees the truth that sometimes we stumble, sometimes we fall, sometimes we're human. And the irony is, all this pretending just makes everyone feel lonelier. Because we look around and think, wow, everyone else seems to have it together except me. But the reality is, everyone's having the same thought. Everyone's comparing their behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. That's why people are more anxious than ever. We're surrounded by performances and starving for something real. Even the way we talk has become scripted. You ever have one of those robotic conversations? Hey, how are you? Good. You? Good. That's it. That's the whole exchange. Nobody's good. We're all barely managing, but we repeat the lines like it's a spell that keeps the chaos away. Imagine if people actually answered honestly, how are you? Oh, I'm emotionally unstable, mildly caffeinated, and avoiding adulthood. Now that's a real conversation, but we can't say that people might think we're dramatic. So we lie, smile, and keep the illusion alive. It's wild how we measure success too. Not by peace, or purpose, or joy, but by how good we are at pretending everything's fine. We idolize high-functioning people translation, folks who can cry in the shower and still show up to work on time. That's the new American dream. Stability on the outside, quiet panic on the inside. We become experts at emotional camouflage. Even family gatherings are an Olympic event in pretending. You're sitting at dinner, everyone's smiling, and underneath the table it's a cold war of passive aggression. How's work? Great. No, it's not. How's your relationship? Perfect. No, it's not. Everyone's got secrets, regrets, disappointments, but we pass the mashed potatoes and pretend we're a Hallmark movie. And then someone brings up politics, and the masks start cracking. We've built an entire culture that rewards appearances over authenticity. You can't just exist, you have to brand yourself. Your clothes, your opinions, your hobbies, everything's curated to make you look like the best version of yourself, even if you have no idea who that person is. We're so obsessed with seeming okay that we've forgotten how to be okay. And the saddest part, we think we're fooling each other, but we're all in on the same joke. There's something hilarious and heartbreaking about that. Everyone's carrying invisible luggage, fear, guilt, doubt, but we hide it like it's shameful. We post vacation photos with captions like, living my best life, while quietly wondering if it's all slipping away. We think vulnerability is weakness when it's actually the only honest thing left in this performance we call adulthood. But here's where it gets funny. The second someone stops pretending everyone else breathes easier. You ever see that? You open up a little, admit you're tired or confused, and suddenly everyone around you goes, oh, thank God, me too. It's like the moment one person breaks the illusion, the whole room exhales, because pretending is exhausting. It's like holding your breath all day just to fit in. And when someone finally tells the truth, it's a relief, not just for them, but for everyone watching. Maybe that's what we need, a little collective honesty. To admit that life's a mess and we're all improvising. Nobody's got it figured out, not even the people who look like they do. The guy in the suit, the mom at the PTA meeting, the influencer on your screen, they're all faking it in their own way. And that's okay, because once you stop pretending, life becomes a lot lighter. You stop worrying about the act and start enjoying the scene. At the end of the day, all this pretending doesn't make us better. It just makes us tired. We don't need to have it together all the time. We just need to be real enough to laugh when it all falls apart. Because the truth is, nobody's normal. We're all weird, lost, slightly broken creatures trying to make sense of a world that never sends instructions. And maybe that's not something to hide. Maybe that's what makes us human. So if you ever feel like everyone else is doing better, just remember they're probably just better at pretending. The act's the same, the mess is universal. The sooner we drop the script, the sooner we can start laughing for real. Because the moment you stop pretending to be normal, you finally get to enjoy being real. You ever notice how life comes with all these rules nobody remembers agreeing to? From the second you pop out crying, someone's already handing you a list. how to behave, what to wear, what to believe, who to love, when to wake up, and how to feel about it. It's like we were all born into a game that's been running for centuries, but nobody told us the objective, just a bunch of other confused players shouting, "You're doing it wrong!" And the best part? Nobody actually follows these rules consistently. They just use them to make themselves look more put together while they secretly break everyone behind closed doors. We're told to be yourself, but only if yourself fits into what everyone else considers acceptable. You can't be too loud, too quiet, too different, or too real. They say, follow your dreams, but then they also say, be realistic. Well, which is it? Because I can't exactly be a dream-chasing realist. That's like being a vegan butcher. It sounds noble, but it's a contradiction that ends in tears. Society hands us these one-size-fits-all rules, and they never fit. They're like jeans from the wrong decade, tight in the wrong places, uncomfortable as hell, and somehow everyone insists they're just right. And the funniest part? We follow them anyway. Not because they make sense, but because we're scared not to. The rules are like invisible traffic lights for life. Nobody enforces them, but if you ignore one, people start honking. You decide to take a day off work to relax, and suddenly you're lazy. You choose not to get married, and now you're afraid of commitment. You don't want kids, and people act like you've personally doomed the human race. Everyone's so obsessed with doing things the right way that they forget the whole system's made up by other confused people trying to look confident. You ever meet those people who act like they've got it all figured out because they follow every rule to the letter? The ones who brag about their 5-year plan, their perfectly portioned meal prep, their early morning jog. Yeah, those people. They're not living, they're performing a PowerPoint presentation called My Life is Going According to Plan. And you know what's always funny? The moment something goes wrong, and it always does, they break faster than a cheap umbrella in a hurricane. Because when your happiness depends on everything being under control, chaos becomes your worst enemy. But chaos is the whole deal. Life isn't supposed to be neat and structured. It's supposed to surprise you. That's where all the fun, pain, and beauty hide in the moments you didn't plan for. Yet we've built this whole culture around trying to predict everything. We've got calendars, planners, habit trackers, vision boards, just layers of rules on top of routines, on top of stress. Wake up early, drink water, don't eat carbs, stay positive. At some point, your life just becomes a list of chores disguised as self-improvement. You can't even relax without following rules anymore. You try to take a break, and someone's like, "Are you meditating correctly?" There's no correct way to breathe. "Susan, I've been doing it since birth." The whole self-care thing has turned into another competition. You can't just nap. You have to journal, burn incense, and reflect on your inner child. Somehow even rest got rebranded into productivity. We can't even be lazy without turning it into a workshop. And then there are the moral rules, the invisible ones that shift every decade. What was rebellious in one era is fashionable in another. We spend so much time pretending we're progressing, but all we're doing is swapping one set of social expectations for another. In the 1,950 seconds, you had to fit in. Now you have to stand out. But not too much, just enough to look original without making anyone uncomfortable. You can't win. If you follow the rules, you're boring. If you break them, you're difficult. Society loves rebels as long as they still pay their taxes and dress nicely. You know what's weird? Every generation thinks the next one's doing it wrong. The old say the young have no discipline. The young say the old are out of touch. And everyone thinks their way is the normal one. Nobody stops to consider that maybe normal doesn't exist. It's just a moving target that changes depending on who's complaining. The truth is, life has no manual. We just keep pretending there's one so we don't have to admit how scared we are of uncertainty. Take work, for example. Somewhere along the line, someone decided that working yourself to exhaustion is noble. If you're not tired, you're not trying hard enough. People brag about being busy like it's a badge of honor. "I've been swamped all week." Well, congratulations, you've successfully turned your short existence into an endless to-do list. Nobody wants to say, hey, maybe we're working too much for things we don't need, because that would break the rule that says productivity equals worth. We've confused movement with progress and effort with meaning. Then there's the rule book of politeness. You can't just say what you mean, you have to wrap it in 10 layers of social sugar. "I don't like that idea" becomes, "That's interesting, but let's revisit it later." "I can't stand you" becomes, "We should grab coffee sometime." We've become professional diplomats in our own lives. We're so busy avoiding offense that we forget how to be honest. And when someone is honest, everyone gasps like they've committed a crime. We're more afraid of truth than hypocrisy because truth doesn't follow the rules. Even happiness has rules now. There's this pressure to be grateful, to find joy in the little things, to always look on the bright side. You can't even have a bad day without someone handing you a motivational quote. Everything happens for a reason, yeah? Sometimes the reason is I made a dumb decision and life's laughing at me. Not every disaster is a life lesson. Sometimes it's just bad luck. But we've built this self-help industry that tells us every moment must be turned into wisdom, as if sadness needs a business model. We're trapped in this endless cycle of should. I should be successful. I should be positive. I should be healthy. I should be married by 30, own a house by 35, retire by 60, and die with a smile by 80. It's a checklist, not a life. And what happens if you don't check the boxes? Society treats you like a software glitch. People start asking questions like, why aren't you like everyone else? Maybe because everyone else looks miserable, pretending they've got it figured out. You ever notice how some rules are just nonsense, but everyone follows them anyway because that's how it's done? Like shaking hands. We all agreed to keep touching strangers even after flu season proved it's basically germ roulette. Or wearing ties. What's that about? It's literally a piece of fabric strangling your neck, but we call it professional. It's as if someone said, let's make fashion look slightly uncomfortable so people take you seriously. The truth is, these rules aren't there to help, they're there to control. They make you predictable. A society full of rule followers is easy to manage because nobody questions the script. You just keep walking the same lines, repeating the same rituals, hoping for approval. But the second you step off the path, people panic. They don't even get mad because you're wrong. They get mad because you remind them they could have done the same. The irony is that even the rebels have their own rules. Every nonconformist group has a dress code, a philosophy, a new list of do's and don'ts. We can't escape the rulemaking, it's baked into us. We crave belonging. And belonging always comes with instructions. The trick isn't to escape the rules entirely, it's to know which ones are actually worth following and which ones are just noise. But figuring that out takes courage. It's easier to follow the crowd, to nod along, to keep the peace. The rules are comforting, like guardrails on a cliff. They make you feel safe, even when they're keeping you from seeing the view. Sometimes you have to step past them, risk a little chaos, and realize that nothing actually collapses. The world doesn't fall apart when you say no, quit a job, end a fake friendship, or skip the milestones everyone else worships. The only thing that breaks is the illusion that you needed permission to live your own life. That's the secret nobody tells you. The rules aren't real. They're stories we tell each other so the uncertainty feels manageable. Once you see that, the whole thing becomes kind of funny. You stop stressing about the path and start laughing at how serious everyone looks walking in circles. You realize that normal people are just rule-abiding actors waiting for someone to break character so they can finally relax. So maybe the real freedom isn't in breaking all the rules, it's in realizing most of them never made sense in the first place. And once you see that, life gets lighter, quieter, and a whole lot funnier. Because the moment you stop living by someone else's rules, you finally start living it all.